Oh, yes, yes. He's back again. He's back again. And thank you, everybody. Welcome, welcome to me and to you, folks. You are here, of course, to listen to the news, the Metaworld news. That's news from, well, I don't think there's such thing as a metaverse anymore. This week we've been
Right.
calling it, this week we have been calling it to the Vultureverse. Well, I have. Actually, I will just put up on our screen here. Um, this was this was a tweet from Philip Rosedale in the week. Is it lost on anyone that this metaverse rediscovery is 99% due to COVID? Faced with the chance of a deeply dystopian future where we're all forced inside, the big companies are circling like vultures, trying to figure out how to get a piece of it. So I sent back a little note to him saying, right, a new noun of the day, the Vultureverse. Also became known as the Viperverse, and somebody's come. Twitter decided to run with this, so we've got Coronaverse.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Philip retorted that Coronaverse sounded good. He can rewrite all his notes and then give a new sample. Oh, funny stuff. Anyway, but yeah, that is aside from the point. Here in the picture post too. Yes, Apple in a keyhole, indicating locked, and of course. The court case against was it Epic, I think, this week. Basically, Apple are now being forced to let people purchase things without going through the App Store, but they'll probably find a way around that. But it's a win for Apple in many other respects, so it's a bit too complicated to go into, in my opinion. So I will now just return. This is a nice little picture of the every time I click away, I've got to re-zoom into it. But never mind. This is just a nice background picture to talk over. All the synapses going berserk and
Oh, yeah.
psychedelicized too. Um, I did have a commentary that tells me exactly what was going on there, but I can't remember it. Well, it's too long to remember. So just enjoy the picture. Right, okay, so where am I? Welcome to Meta World News. This today is the 12th of September, so you're going to be hearing headlines for the week ending the 12th of September by magic. Isn't that an incredible fact?
It's lovely.
I'm broadcasting on the 12th, and therefore the headlines I'm reading are the 7 days up to the 12th. And we are called the Weekend. No, we're not called the Weekend Review, are we? Well,
No.
never mind.
That's somebody
Yeah,
else's
okay.
blog. Right.
Somebody else's. Yes, indeed. Okay, I am Mal Burns, by the way. Mal, first word. Burns, second word. But if you want to find me on the interwebs and all over the place, you have to squash me like you have to squash most people. So it's MALBURNS. And such is the case at Twitter. Twitter.com/MALBURNS, or one word, is where you will find the links to the pages that I'm going to be and items I'm going to be talking about shortly. And I'm joined, as ever, by James Out Loud. Hello, James.
Oh, hello, Mal. I was
Out
I was
James?
I was getting ready for the Meta World lower third. So, all
Oh,
right,
fair
I'm all
enough,
set
fair
now.
enough.
On the right camera.
Right, well, behind the scenes, of course, James is fiddling them with his knobs, as we say here, rather rudely. And that really means he's switching between my avatar and a different view of my avatar and my desktop and all sorts of whatever, really, to tart up the show. After all, you don't really want to see an avatar talking head for the next hour or
The
two, do
whole
you?
time.
So,
The whole time.
yeah,
But
so we.
Mal, I do have I wanted to point out my outfit today,
Oh
and
yeah, I know. I had not forgotten that
oh,
because
okay, all
I
right,
was saving the comments because
yeah,
I was going to say that you're looking rather smart and formal today.
rather smart. I think so too. I came across
A
this. It's
shirt and
free.
tie.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is a free outfit at by this designer Ralph Vintorix, and this is a Buckaroo Banzai outfit. It's pants and a jacket and the tie, and it's all quite lovely.
but no replacement for the hat.
No, the hat stays. The hat always stays.
Actually,
But
it goes. The hat goes with it anyway, in many ways. So there.
yeah.
So what do you say it's called again? A bonsai plant? No,
Do
no,
you
that was.
remember? No, do you remember the movie Buckaroo Banzai? Did
Oddly
you ever
enough, I
see
don't.
that?
No, no, I don't think I've ever.
Oh, it's a good film, Mel. You should watch it.
Oh, I'll look it up. I've probably
Yeah.
got a copy somewhere. So yeah.
But the main character, Buckaroo Banzai, has a suit and a strange collar like this. So I thought it was great
Yeah.
fun.
Why is it a comedy?
Yep. Science fiction comedy,
Oh,
yeah. Very strange. Very strange movie.
Buckaroo. Oh,
Bonsai, yeah.
Buckeroo.
I think so, yep. And then Banzai. Bonsai. Bonzai.
Bonzai. Right, well,
Now I should
we'll
have
leave
a,
that.
a, a screen capture of Bonsai, of Buckaroo Banzai.
Yes, I couldn't find it in my desktop thing. I've got a proper database there somewhere, so I'll look it up later. Right. Okay, well, I'll do that off air. We'll get on with the show, I think.
Yep.
So, yes, as I say, follow the my news links. There are plenty more than what I cover here, I should warn you. I'm twittering every day of the week. Not 24/7, but something close to it. And there are, of course, quite a few links that I don't include here, or we'd be having a whole day or a whole week long show, really. An hour on every tweet. That would be a 24/7 show, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So we're just going to move on into various other stuff. While I've got the picture post, as we call it, up. Oh, actually, no, there's nothing there that I do need to show you. Just a fancy graphic, really. So we'll slip that away, and we're going to come to. The first link of the week, and it's this we do every week. Actually, this is dated September the 6th, which basically was Monday, the day after our last show. So a lot of the roundup that Scar Ghost does here is sort of parallel with what we included in last week's show. But it's a good way to start the week if you want a roundup of what has gone before. So always a good place to start the week. Now the address for this is scarredghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And he does make a noise now and again, but I should say that the noise is ours, not his. But we like announcing him with that howl. The ghost howls, you
The
see, is another
ghost.
one of his another bylines, so to speak.
All right.
So, Scar Ghost with a K, SKARREDGHOST.com, and always a good stop at the beginning of the week for this. And if you're actually checking on this from Monday onwards, in fact, you'll find that there is, of course, an even more recent roundup of the week, which will probably come out tomorrow. He's having quite a good look at Venice VR, the film festival, which had a lot of VR in this, and as we'll find out in a minute, Kent Byatt, Voices of VR, has had loads of additional episodes up this week, which are basically interviews conducted at the Venice Film Festival. And I'm being based in Italy. There is actually, I know that the Scargos guy himself is collaborating in the development of the VR expanded part of Venice in VR chat, in fact. Yeah, so what? So yeah, a lot about the Burning Man and sorry, VL Festival, also Burning Man, and a whole load of little links at the bottom there too. Other relevant news, new headsets, etc., etc. Um, oh, we covered this last week, but talking about ABBA and the avatars. Mamma mia! ABBA are back. Mamma mia, let me
Mamma
go.
mia.
That's Queen. You know, there's oh God, the Queen song, Bohemian Rhapsody. There's a line in it that's the operatic line, which always
Right.
makes me think of Freddie Mercury in his operatic. So, Mamma mia, let me go. And then, of course, Mamma Mia is the musical that is ABBA's and actually has nothing to do with Queen. So there
Nope.
you go.
Nope.
My chain of thought is completely corrupted when it comes to that one. Right. Anyway, yeah. A whole load of stuff here. VR core Chinese VR ecosystem. More on that near the end of the show. Basically, a few problems have arisen because the Chinese government, non-democratically elected government that is, have apparently on the verge of banning the metaverse. There must be one of the few political or commercial blocks in the world that don't want to create their own metaverse. They've just, well, I'll get to the exact description they came up with later, but they really don't like it at all. So, moving on from the Skull Ghost, however, I need to see where we are here. Yeah, there we are. So I'm going to remove that item and move to my next post, which is this is a site called XRMust. XRMUST.com. A fairly easy one there, really. This is talking about something called Atlas V, who've unveiled Astria, a new key player in the XR distribution business. Right, so Atlas V are French, and they've got a sister company dedicated to distribution of immersive content, publishing, sales to broadcasters, LBE theatres, etc., etc. And this obviously includes virtual reality or in various forms. Probably in terms of distribution, more it's going to be more like their interest is probably more like the so-called VR theatre cinema stuff. Um, they say the distribution is hybrid in nature, which is probably a pretty good way of wriggling out of an exact definition. Um, this is really business news, but it does seem to be fairly major sort of deal. So if you want to know more about that, go to xrmust.com. That's a fairly good site for general sort of fringe news, not specifically VR, AR, but on the fringes of that thing. I mean, you can tell from the title, the XR business and the title there. So xrmust.com, moving on. This time we're at virtualrealityreporter.com. So that's look, 3 words in one. Virtual Reality Reporter. I am not going to spell it. I'm too darn lazy. .com. We do go to this site now and again. This particular one is about they're asking the question: could virtual reality transform learning in a new language? Language learning in virtual worlds is quite a big thing. In fact, we've frequently collaborated with Hiker Hiker something.
Yeah,
I
Heike
forgot
Phil.
that. No, Hiker. That's
Yep.
it. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's so many people you sometimes forget
So true.
half the name, don't you? Who did one of our international conferences with us online too. So, but yeah, language learning. It's really an ideal. Back when I was at school, which is rather a long while ago, barely remember it, but I do remember that I spent a year doing French, and it was a new audio-visual course, which had slides and stuff like that. And it was abandoned after a year, so it meant my whole French education was also abandoned, because to do it the old-fashioned way, I would then have been a year behind. But I do remember aspects of it. Not least the teachers. He came from the north of England, and let's just say his French pronunciations weren't very good. Uh, I often tell this story how I learnt to bark. If you haven't heard this, I will repeat it. This gruff northern accent was telling me to say yes and no in French, and non was just about okay, but he knew how he was meant to pronounce the we, which is not pronounced we. He knows how it's meant to be pronounced, but he couldn't get round to it. He just couldn't do it. So we were getting this sort of we. That is how I learned to bark, and I've never forgotten it. So I will say one thing from my French teacher at school. He taught me how to bark. He didn't teach me any French, unfortunately. So a little anecdote for you there. Yes, a bit of the history of Mal for you there. Right. Okay. Getting back onto track, because you already have.
Mal? Oh, I think we've lost Mal, and he most likely can hear us, but he can't speak to us. So I'm not going to end the broadcast, but I will take us over to some technical difficulty information.
I've been cheated by you since I don't know when. So I made up my mind it must come to an end. Look at me now, will I ever learn? I don't know how, but I suddenly lose control. There's a fire within my soul. Just one look and I can hear a bell ring. One more look and I forget everything. Oh, Mamma Mia, here I go again. My, how can I resist you? Mamma Mia, does it show again? My, just how much I missed you. Yes, I've been broken hearted, blue since the day we parted. Why did I ever let you go? Mamma Mia, now I really know. My, I could never let you go. I've been angry and sad about things that you do. I can't count all the times that I told you we're through. And when you go, when you slam the door, I think you know that you won't be away too long.
All right, I think we're getting Mal back here slowly. So I'll take us back to the studio. And I thought Mamma Mia was topical, but probably not safe from YouTube's copyright sense. So we may have to deal with that. I see that Mal's online in Sansar. And there I hear his voice. All right. All right. Mm, okay. Ah, there you are. Mal, I probably made a boo boo. Um, so I put on the technical difficulties image, and then I thought, oh, let's play some ABBA, but YouTube might not like that. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Right. Well, we're still. Oh, that's a good point. I should check and see if it shouldn't have stopped YouTube because my stream is good, so we'll be fine. Okay. Yep. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It seems it would be a virgin. It would be a virgin thing, like throttling bandwidth in some way. But mm-hmm.
I have woken up a couple of days in the morning and found my Google and Alexas have not been functioning, and then I've had to reboot in the morning. So this is not the way the world was meant to be or ever used to be. So the more we pay, the worse it gets. Simple as that. Okay, let's get back to. Oh yes, let me get back to the actual page we're on, and this was virtualrealityreporter.com. The exact page you would have to go to my twitter.com/Mel Burns feed to actually get to. But I was mentioning that actually the Rosetta Stone, for example, were one of the first people to produce CD-ROMs, and an audio-visual method of learning language is almost natural. Imagine yourself walking down the street in France, for example. I'm not going to repeat the story I told before we went off air. Um, Sort of walking down the street and you go into a shop, and they say, "Can I help you in French?" And then you've got to speak in French back, and you practice theoretically, the experience of communicating in a foreign language in a foreign place. So it's quite good. These people, Monly VR, are bringing this to the Oculus Quest. It was previously only available on Oculus Go, Steam VR, and Gear VR. That's interesting. It's one of the things that was on Oculus Go. Not that I ever tried it, but that's one of the headsets I deigned to buy and got bored with within about 5 minutes. Okay, so they explore interesting concept of learning in VR instead of traditional way of learning. They put you in real life scenes to let you practice talking to people in your selected language. And there's a screenshot of one attempting to do that, or not, as the case may be. So you will find that at Virtual Reality Reporter, all one word there, squash like everything else, .com. And the exact link is on my Twitter feed. So we can put that one away and move on to arpost.co, not com, just co, arpost.co. And early in the week, this is a post to Exile Education in 2001, kind of roundup thing. VR is for games and L's for industry, right? Well, no. They merged together to provide XR education, which is promising. They do say they're looking at virtual ranging from K-12 to university and beyond. K-12 for British listeners really means secondary school. The last actual school you go to before university. Virtual campus experiences, XR learning, etc., etc., etc. Right, they look at quite a bit here as a sort of roundup for anybody in the field already. I suspect. Well, you might find a few surprises here, but if you're interested in the way XR, AR, VR together, that is, are being used in education, you may get a glimmer of extra information, should we say, from that site. So arpost.co. We put that away. Now, if you here normally, that I often end up having to cover about 5 posts a week from Voices of VR. Um, because sometimes it's busy. He does a lot. It's been quiet recently because a few weeks ago he did his 1000th episode, which is over 3 hours long. I think people are still struggling to finish it. But this week he's been posting from the Venice um, VR thing. And well, I'm going backwards here. What I've done is that I've simply loaded the page where Voices of VR .com. So VOICESOFVR.com. And since that 1000th episode, we've actually had 5, and these are going in descending order. The latest episode, which was a day ago, I think, is effectively a look at what, do I call it an app? I'm not quite sure. It's a title called Container, and it's a poetic exploration of modern-day slavery through hyperreal spatial installations and 180-degree video. And obviously, it's a podcast. So if you go here, you simply go to play. Now, Voices of VR. If you ever look it up, you will find that you can get it on iTunes. You can find an RSS feed. As indeed it says here. It's also available on Spotify, which I use, and actually it's all over the place really. So if you don't get one that goes to the web page, if you have it playing in in Spotify or something in the background while you're otherwise browsing, that might be the best way to do it. But anyway, look up, either go to voicesofvr.com or look up Voices of VR, the podcast. This particular page, the landing page, as it were, has got the archives. So earlier in the week, we had a review of one called An Andala, which is awe-inspiring generative art. And it includes interactive embodied NPCs. No comments on that one. 1003 was a powerful interactive story about schizophrenia. I may have mentioned this last week. I'm not quite sure. It seems to me it's over a week since I saw Goliath, actually. Yeah, it explores schizophrenia and psychosis. And the story is told by a Twitch streamer. By the way, on that one. But again, it's being an interview about it. Kusunda was another powerful immersive story about an indigenous language in Nepal that's on the brink of, well, they say going dormant and falling asleep. I think that means extinction, but they're being polite. Okay, on 1001, was a sneak peek of the whole Venice VR expanded event, plus the VR chat component of it too. Now, the Venice Film Festival actually runs from the 1st of September, which means we're now, 12 days in. But we've got another week to go, so there'll be quite a lot more on this at the moment. And if you follow up on any of this, you will find links where you can get to see various things online. Now, not just through your headsets, but, ordinary video capture and things, maybe, 2D video of things that are 3D, etc. In the, all in the extended Venice Festival archive too. And as I say, our friend at the Ghost Holes is in the background with participating and collaborating on the VR chat side to the festival. Okay. They're both in Italy, basically. Venice is in Italy, and so is the Scarred Ghost. So, yeah. But this, of course, is all Kent Byers' interviews at Voices of VR. So I'm going to move on from that. You really just have to go there to get updated on however many he has when you actually land there, so to speak. It were 1,005, so you got a lot of, got a lot of listening there to do if you really want to hear all his archive. Right. Who needs virtual worlds when you've got Ken By, eh? Right. Okay, this is WSJ. This is Wall Street Journal, in fact. WSJ.com. I like the Wall Street Journal. I mean, I'm not a particularly fan of the actual journal, but I do like the fact they've got a short link. This article, virtuality puts drug researchers inside the molecules they study. This is great. I mean, molecules are quite fascinating, but they've always been an obvious thing. I mean, this news really isn't news. They've been an obvious thing to view virtually, even on 2D screens. You know, modeling molecules has been around for a long while, but now you just do it in 3D. It's one of those scientific things that is just immeasurably enhanced by the use of VR in the well, not the enterprise, the science community in this case, and yeah, but I must admit they're nice to look at too for those of us who don't really understand what the molecules are doing. They do things that look nice. You see what I mean? Anyway, if you this is talking about Jackie von Salm. She's the co-founder and chief scientific officer of something called Scilera Incorporated, and they're using a company called Nanomes software to research drug compounds. The pronunciation, those you just heard from me, is highly suspect. I have no idea whether I'm on track or not, but as you can see, it's there. WSJ.com for this article, and this fair old bit to read there, not on this particular intro page, but elsewhere, and the links are there. So, Wall Street Journal, goodbye to you.
Ah, and we've lost Mal's audio again. Sorry about this, Mal. I'm gonna call Mr. Branson and see what we can do. He probably has nothing to do with Virgin. I'll not play any more music, I don't think, but I'll just go mute for a while we watch our kitties.
I think I'm back.
I think you're back as well. I hear something.
I did a double reboot this time, but just on the off chance it was the local router, but it wasn't. So yeah, maybe this engineer's playing around with something. I'm still getting. I don't know what you're seeing in World. I'm still seeing things of can't open pages here and stuff.
Yeah, and it looks like the screen sharing screen leap is gone.
Oh, all right. Well, I can sort that one out by starting it again. I think.
I must have. I said the Branson word, so I must have. Maybe I jinxed something.
Well. Okay, something's happening.
But instead of ABBA this time, I played Benedictine monk chanting.
Oh, very good.
So it was kind of a meditative experience.
All right. Oh, reload page. Maybe this will work. There we are. Finally. It's that, but it's not showing it.
Yeah, let me. I'll see if I can redo that in the studio.
Oh no. Yeah. What I'm seeing in the studio is fine. Although I don't know about OBS, but okay. No, it's stopped displaying reader mode, but we're back on track, so to speak. And I'm still seeing.
Oops.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. We are indeed, but those pussycats are keeping you entertained, I hope. Rolling around on vinyl. Yeah. Dear me, vinyl with a pussycat. That must be. What could that be if it's an old vinyl with this pussycat stuff? Oh, I know. What's the name of that singer who used to purr?
I do not know.
Bet you do if I can remember. Not Emma. Etta Jane. Or maybe somebody else anyway. Right.
All right, I'm having trouble getting the in world, but you can probably proceed.
Right, yeah. Okay. The site I've actually got open is an easy link. Anyway, it's lu.ma. As in Luma. Right. This is really a little plus thing. There's not much to say here. Extending Reality is its name, and it's an inclusive community for AR and VR people. Basically, it's open to everyone. It's not a Discord channel or anything. It's a separate page, though I believe they have a Discord channel too. The hosts are Amy Lamea from the WXR Fund, Nicole Lazaro from Exile Design, who's also very familiar on Twitter, and Joanna Popper from Hewlett Packard, and Kathy Hackey, of course, from Forbes and Twitter too, Avatar Dimension. Plus Maddie Callender from Boost Venture Capital, whose name is familiar, but I don't know much about her. But it looks to me that in the course of the last couple of days, they're now up to 48 members. It's free for anybody who actually wants to join. So you can follow the link on my Twitter feed, of course, but otherwise just go to lu.ma. And I see in our in-world studio that the screen has now come up again. So
It has, yep. A little bit of finding caches and refreshing them.
yeah. So no doubt YouTube will come up again very shortly. As I say, lu.ma, just to repeat there, for those of you who want to check it out. I'm now actually going to move on to put that one away, and I'll move on to Forbes again. And this is This Week in XR, and it's Charlie Fink, of course, talking about Facebook's Ray-Ban Stories smart glasses. The first thing to say, and I was going to mention this on another link earlier, but this is a recent link. These are not AR glasses. Arguably, they're not smart glasses either. There's nothing much smart here. But anything smart is Ray Book's fantasy, I think. Um, they have a deal with Ray-Ban. Um, these a certain style of Ray-Ban. I forget what they're Wayfarer, I think they're called. In other words, you can only get them in certain brands of Ray-Ban. You can get them as shades or as clear glasses, and the clear glasses do allow for prescription lenses. But that's it. They're either shades or they're glasses. But they do have two cameras, fairly subtly positioned inside there, that allows you to record, take pictures or record video. There's a little white on the picture here. It shows a little white light, but you can barely see it. It basically flickers yellow when it's recording, so people around you know you're spying on them. And it's also got built-in headphones that don't go in your ear. I guess they are bone-conducting headphones. So you get headphones and a camera and a pair of glasses all in one. But there is no on-screen display in these glasses. They don't connect to your smartphone or anything like that. They're simply um, a standalone thing. You can't even save the videos and stuff apparently into a smartphone you're carrying. You have to actually upload them into a computer when you actually get home. So these, they're kind of lacking in a few things. You'd think there'd be a Bluetooth connection or something, but anyway, Charlie Fink looks at that amongst other things. Um, and yeah, they wonder whether people would take it. Um, to its credit, Facebook Reality Labs is fearless. Ray-Ban stories may not be much more than a beautifully designed future trivia question, but at least it keeps them in the game. There seems to be Facebook all over these days. I mean, every a couple of days they've got to announce something else to so-called keep them in the game, and probably keep the media from watching the nasty stuff happening to them behind the scenes, like legislation being used against them, and well, that's all the troubles that the God Emperor's got himself into. Right. Um, Actually, he's covered it. Half this blog keeps on going about smart glasses and stuff, so there is other stuff here. But basically, this is just a roundup. When you think about it, there's not actually a great deal in this one. There is a plug, of course, for the podcast, which will be coming to via YouTube in a short while. So Forbes.com, Forbes.com for that one. And I shall remove that one as we move on. Um, okay, I'll move to the next screen here. Right, we're back to arpost.co yet again. This is just a kind of informative thing about 5 virtuality apps for exploring the world. Um, this is probably a thing, there's quite a few of these things, but this is just a roundup. We're probably nearing the time of the season, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, where if you're not actually in lockdown anyway, the weather's going to change and you're going to want to be indoors more. So if you want to get away to a nice sunny location or exotic place whilst you're locked up in the Northern Hemisphere's winter, or virus or anything else, then launching some kind of VR app to actually take you to a real world location that you can't get to physically is a rather nice idea. The In general, this is just recommending a few ways you can do it via Google Earth, via Everest, via something called the Blue, Natural Geographic VR, and Qantas VR. None of those, well, I won't. I mean, I'm sure they're all very good there. But the technology behind these things is actually improving no end. Basically the quality of high definition photography and the panoramic stitching and the interactive movement, so you can sort of click to jump to a nearby place, much closer to the feeling of being in photographically in a virtual world. And sometimes there's educational text information on an overlay. Other times it's just mood, music or sound effects. There is actually a lot that could be done with this now. and it says you only need a VR headset and the time to sit back and immerse yourself. And this is one of those cases where I think it is very true that you need the VR headset. I've actually watched plenty of these things in not in 2D, but in 3D, but on a 2D screen. And they're very relaxing, especially if you can automate the movement to sort of run around for you like a video. And indeed, videos done this way are very relaxing too. But, you know, uh, there's an old thing here. Imagine you're exploring, I don't know, the Welsh valleys in Snowdonia or something. Put on your VR headset and then you kind of walk around, but hopefully not bumping into all your walls. But this says it's actually time to sit back and immerse yourself. So, I think if you can put on a headset and sit back without worrying about the weight of them and bumping into things, then it'd be nice to sort of autoplay a little tour, wouldn't it? Where a script actually walks you through the whole environment or something. So I wouldn't be averse to that, although I suspect my present headset would not really be compatible with the modern stuff. Um, and I'd have to be really lazy to put it on anyway. Okay, can virtual reality inspire climate action? Interesting question there as well. These are the best VR apps and experiences for traveling around the world that you should try. And yeah, people often forget that Google Earth has a VR component these days too. So you'll find that at arpost.co. Moving on. And we're at techradar.com. That's techradar.com. And they're asking whether the future of online events is in the. Yes, it's the M word. Of
Not going
course,
to say
it's
it.
the M word. Well, Viperverse, Vultureverse, whatever you want to call it.
How about Babyverse? I was thinking of Babyverse last week.
Yes, the Babyverse might do it.
All these verses are developing, so we'll call them Babyverses.
Yeah, but they all think they're going to be the metaverse.
They
don't
think they're
they?
going to be the metaverse, but then that's how children are, right?
Yeah, infant verse.
Infant verse, right?
Infant verse actually works because in its infancy. But infant or not, it does not belong to any parents. You see, this is the mistake people make. Right? However formative this wonderful thing called the metaverse is, nobody owns it. Nobody parented it. It's just there and will become what it becomes when it becomes, but it won't be owned by anybody unless something goes very drastically wrong. Um, I often think that the whole new metaverse is that everybody's advertising, and there is no such thing as a plural of the metaverse. But yeah, I now call them the Vultureverse, and if I'm in a really bad mood, a Viperverse. Okay, because it's corporate play, as we saw in that quote at the beginning of the show from Theo Rosedale. Right. Um, a number of platforms growing rapidly to meet this demand. With COVID shutting down almost every physical event last year, we saw a drastic increase in the importance of connecting virtually. Even Hopin and Zoom virtual events have become more and more sophisticated. I don't think Hopin or Zoom are really virtual events, but that's another thing. Um, For all these reasons, virtual events have certainly changed from a temporary placeholder to a permanent feature in our work and social lives, which hopefully is the case. So I'll go with them on that. Then they're looking back, Neil Stevenson as usual, Spielberg's probably in there somewhere, and of course the God Emperor Zuckerberg as well is talking about creating avatars and digital objects being central to how we express ourselves and blah blah blah. But what do you expect? Anyway, this post is at techradar.com, techradar.com. Nothing really new in that post, and it's probably barely worth having. Right, oops, wrong thing here. Right. Okay. Now, this is a site called Beaconsfield Limited UK. So it's a BEACONSFIELD dot LTD dot UK. I don't think I've ever seen that suffix before. I mean, sort of incorporated companies in the UK here are actually called limited companies, and so for companies Beaconsfield Limited, it means it's a limited company. I've never actually seen the LTD used in a suffix before. It's usually Co UK or Com or something. But anyway, this one is beaconsfield.ltd.uk. And they're talking about extended economics and online discussion in immersive space. And this is another membership thing, really. You can join them on yesterday. Sorry. Okay, that bit you can forget. Right. They basically, you need to register with them. You need to email Anna at Beaconsfield Limited UK. But there's another one, Extended Economies Part 1, on Saturday at 21st, which will be 2 weeks from now, I believe, if I got that right. And Part 2 on the 11th. That does not. Oh, come! Sorry, I've got this all wrong, haven't I? We're out of August and we're in. Okay, the only one that's actually left is Part 3, which will be on the 2nd of October. These start at 2 in the afternoon here in Britain. And I've got a feeling that by 2nd of October, we may well be out of daylight savings time and back. I don't know what the date is, but we're getting to that point where we're going to have one of those shocks as we adjust our clocks. Anyway, this just seems very interesting as a sort of participatory thing to do. I'm not quite sure whether they're doing it in Zoom or whether they've got what other setup they've got there. They don't really explain it, but anyway, it just seemed. It's a collaboration with somebody called Jin Han Lee, who's an arts XR. Is this company, so it's a creative slant to this thing, and collaboration furthering practices by exploring immersive realms together, reaching a wider audience than the physical audience in SE11, which is the postcode in London here. In the upper gallery, it sounds like they're transmitting the tour, as it were, to the upper gallery in that gallery. Interesting. So plenty to click on there to find out more anyway. But I'll leave it at that. I'm putting this one away. And xrstories.co.uk, another British one here. xrstories.co.uk. And broadcast features. This is a call for immersive experiences. If you're in the UK, they're working with Story Futures Academy and the National Science and Media Museum to commission, right, £100,000 worth of immersive experience. It's an installation somewhere that will run from 2022 to January 23 at the National Science and Media Museum in Bradford. That's not exactly central. But anyway, it's a lot of money if you want to actually submit to create an immersive experience here. It does sound like it will be an immersive experience that probably needs to be created to happen in the real world location. So a bit of everything, both really, virtual and real. Successful pitch will be aligned with the museum's Broadcast Pioneers exhibition and explore the theme of the future of broadcasting. This high-profile exhibition is part of the Science Museum group, but that's Science Museums in London, of course, coordinated exhibitions to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the BBC and the 40th year anniversary of Channel 4, etc., etc. But a lot of money in play there anyway. And if you wish to express your interest, then the expressions of interest, I love this, closes on the 1st of October. Maybe you don't have to do anything except express an interest, but Friday, the 1st of October is the deadline for that. I hear James are giggling there somewhere.
Yeah. Yep.
You had something to say there?
Oh, just thinking maybe we should use that for our conference, for the OSCC conference. Express your interest. Yeah.
Express interest must close. Yeah, applications close on Yeah, well, it's quite nice. Applications close on the 31st of October, but expressions of interest
Yeah.
by
Well,
Friday the 1st.
considering
So,
how late, I mean, in any conference, how late papers
yeah,
and prospects, come in, it's
they
like,
come
yeah,
with it.
sometimes interest is all you get.
Yeah. Well, you could follow up expressions of interest by expressions of intent a
Yeah.
week later,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and um, expressions of engagement a week later, maybe,
Yep.
and then never mind, never mind.
Yep.
I could think of a lovely little thing there, but not live on there, not right now. Okay, find out more about this at Exile Stories Co. UK. Exile STORIES.co.uk. And if you've got time on your hands and are interested in an immersive experience that crosses into the real world and would not mind competing for 100,000 UK pound, that works out at more in dollars.
It's a nice, tidy sum. Yeah.
At 130 US dollars, $1,000 US, I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah.
But, no. As James says, a tiny sum, not to be turned down. But probably requires quite a lot of work and pitching gear. Probably be up against quite a lot of competition on that one. But it's still a new field, if not a unknown field or obscure field. It's new. And I like the time with broadcast basically here, so it's all been taken quite seriously. Right, I'll put that one away. Zip it up, as they say. Oops, that's not what I meant. No, it's zip file. Yeah, my Apple updated my zip file extractor today. I'm not quite sure what to think when Apple tell me they want to unzip me. Very old experience. Right, impact of Exile's exponential growth. It's a word that I always mispronounce. Right. Okay. This site is med-technews.com. So it's MED and then a dash and then TECN. Sorry, TECHNEWS.com. And Eric Graves is a CEO somewhere. Analyzes the impact of Exile applications in the healthcare industry from innovation to economics, basically. And a whole load of analysis, basically, in the article, as you can see. It's quite reasonably short. Bit of a PR job here. Obviously, you can see, as a creative studio with 20 years of experience, we here at LRA Systems are well positioned to position ourselves or whatever. But anyway, looking at economics and healthcare, although it's reasonably brief given what it's supposed to be talking about. So med-technews.com for this one. And disposing of that and moving on. Oh, it's the fast book.
Favorite.
It's the Evil Empire. This is actually a post from scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And let's hear it for the guy again, Tony. Ghost is howling. Okay, this is his roundup of the earlier in the week, of course, September the 9th, way before Charlie Finks. Facebook revealing the Ray-Ban Stories smart glasses. Again, he's he's fallen into the trap. If Facebook think they're smart glasses, so the reviewers are all quoting them as smart glasses, where in fact there is nothing smart about a camera that can film video and still pictures, and a pair of earphones that use bone conduction, and a pair of glasses, right? Put all that together is nothing new here whatsoever. The glasses are not smart. Any phone can do the picture side of it. Any pair of headphones can do the audio side of it. And any pair of shades can shade you from the sun. And any pair of glasses can be ordered on a prescription for your eyesight. What is new here? Absolutely nothing. What is smart here? Absolutely nothing. What is ever present here? Yep, you guessed it. The box, it doesn't say on the product itself, but on the box it says Ray-Ban from, you guessed who's got their logo on the box. And anyway, there you are. See, just like a portal device or something with the obligatory name on it. Uh, there's nothing special here at all, quite frankly. The quality of the cameras is good. I mean, the actual specs, nothing wrong with what they are, but do not ever call these smart glasses. They are not. They're just, they are not, here we are, they are not augmented reality glasses and have not even a display. There's something akin to snaps, spectacles, a product that lets you shoot photos and videos from your point of view and also do something more, like conduct the thing in the thing. Photos can be transferred to your smartphone where a companion app lets you organize and modify them and share them. Oh, it looks like, well, it doesn't say which phone you would need. I did read somewhere that people were complaining that to do anything they really had to take them to a computer and plug them in and upload the content into the computer. Anyway, this is Scar Ghost. So as you might guess, it's a nice long look at what it is. So if you want an overview on what they are and what they are not, more to the point, then a good place to go to get that review. So SKARREDGHOST.com. And moving on. Right. Okay, PCgamer.com. PCgamer.com. Gamer beware. Ultra realistic VR is a philosophical minefield for humanity. Nice picture. I snapped that picture. It's possibly an on-screen graphic for us, but I don't need it. I found that other moving one. VR's come on leaps and bounds over the past few years. Whether you're talking about the capabilities of VR tech itself, its price, or the VR games now available, there's no question that virtual reality has improved. Valve Index is still pricey, but plenty of budget options, etc., etc. Oculus Quest 2 is a humble $300, and it's a damn good headset by technical standards. But as with all technological innovations, there have been bumps along the road, blah, blah, blah. Facebook integration, blah. I mentioned the word, didn't I? Raising questions about the ethics of business practices which strong-arm the user into the social media sphere and all the privacy concerns that this raises. When it comes to tech itself, there's still a number of issues to be worked out, such as the tracking of HP's reverb, for example. Clearly hurdles to overcome, but perhaps more importantly, there are questions about the very nature of VR tech and VR gaming that are often overlooked, but which are imperative for the VR gaming community to discuss. Will VR ever be good enough to imitate reality? And should we want it to? These questions are quite philosophical. Yes, indeed. And while I have some philosophy credentials myself as a published PhD researcher, blah, 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 I thought it best to pick the brain of an actual professor. And so he introduces the professor and some recommended videos, and then they I think that's an ad on the real page, and and then they it carries on with the interview. This is good reading, it really is. It's always nice to read things that tackle things from slightly different point of view. They're not saying if VR is good or bad or promoting anything particular here. They're just sort of philosophizing on various implications. Imagine we are living 120 years ago at the dawn of, 1900s, 20th century, right? At this point, it was an absolute novelty to find a motor car anywhere. Everything was horse-driven carriages and stuff, and a few people were turning up with these four-wheel contraptions that were going clank, 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 as they burnt fuel and started polluting the atmosphere. Nobody at the time ever thought ahead. They came down in price. People were modding them, as we would say today, and eventually motor car companies, which factory product was born, like in America, the Ford motor car company started mass production and stuff. And you've got to ask if in, say, the year 1920, we were able to have an online philosophical debate about whether these things called motor cars should be allowed, and if they are going to be allowed, whether there should be a few limitations on their capabilities, like burning fossil fuels might be a good one. Their tendency to pollute the environment within 100 years, etc., etc. That argument, should have been, been had. That debate, I think, is the better argument, a better name. And so it is really with VR. I think we're at the cusp of a whole new breed of technology. Not the virtual worlds itself, but the hardware and all the stuff that plugs into it. So yeah, I like posts like this. So and oddly enough, it's not. Well, it is a PC Gamer is obviously a magazine that is concerned with games on the PC, but this really is, more about VR per se. So find it at pcgamer.com, pcgamer.com, and I'll put that different way before I resist a longer rabbit hole. Okay. BMW, I believe this is a motor car company. Yeah, I think it is. But who cares anyway? They're
Isn't
another
it
vibe.
Bavarian Motor Works?
Could be, yeah, European company. Anyway, they're another, this is another Viperverse or venture, whatever. Yeah, Joytopia. Well, at least they didn't put meta in the title. Joytopia instead of Utopia or Utopia or Dystopia. It's Joytopia. Well, a bit more original than some. Now they've gotten in there with an exclusive performance from Coldplay, who are one of the biggest bands on the planet these days, I believe. And you can watch it here. I'm actually going to dare to open a new tab. Because I don't have this anywhere else. Okay, I'm going to endeavour to pan forward a bit on this because it's they play about 4 songs, I believe, and it's 7. Hello. Oh, sorry, the volume control doesn't seem to be working there.
It was
I
loud.
can mute it.
Yep.
Well, it's interesting. Right. Okay, well, I've muted it a bit. You can see what's happening there, basically. How much of that is... obviously, there is a virtual environment there, but it does look like the avatars are playing against a green screen, or something a bit like the events that have happened in Sansar here. If you want to find it on YouTube, go to BMW. Personally, I'm not even going to bother subscribing, but it could be kind of interesting. What I am going to do is wrong browser. Never mind. Bookmark. I can do that. Yeah. Okay. So, bit peace and quiet there. Right, so I'm moving us back here into the post. This is actually at Mixmag, which is a music magazine. mixmag.net, mixmag.net. And basically they're announcing that you've got the click-through to the exclusive performance from Coldplay. 4 tracks, just technical stuff. And right, the live stream playback took place September 5th, and it was held for 2 days before the AAA Mobility International Motor Show, which started in Munich and ends on September 12th, which means it's ended right now. Yes, indeed. I presume that YouTube video will be there for a while too. I rather like this quote because we want to open up new dialogue with audiences that shifts the status quo from brand interpretation to user interpretation. Joytopia is a quantum leap for the digital world. Right, that is really sort of elevating themselves, isn't it? Quantum leap. Where have we heard that expression before? Right, but um, big-headed people, really, aren't they? Let's move on. Let's move on. Fun and games, I suppose. Right. This is a bit distressing. Scar Ghost actually published a little tweet link about this, saying he was finding it hard to believe. But this is the site called the Virtual Report.biz. TheVirtualReport.biz. And this does seem to be actual. This seems to be an actual thing. It's not a hoax or anything, because it's not the sort of thing that's making headline news, but it is being referred to in various places. And apparently the authorities in Beijing, they're the ones that don't allow you to speak, basically, have called the metaverse, right? And they've used the word metaverse, a grand and illusionary concept, saying that people who blindly invest will be burnt in the end. The warning was issued today, September 9th, in the state-run newspaper, the Securities Times. Apparently, according to Marketplace at the BBC World Service, the news that VR is subject to stringent regulation has sent tech shares in Hong Kong tumbling, with the worst day for stocks in 6 weeks. The value of Tencent shares, which is Chinese, of course, have dropped by 8%, NetEase by 11%, and Hong Kong's index has fallen 2.3%, and smaller declines have rippled across Asia. It looks like, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, when it comes to what I call the Oriental companies, for better or worse, I mean, Japan is a major player in VR space and always has been. The Japanese have always had taken the games and stuff like that. Also, so South Korea is a big leader in this sort of field. Chinese games are equally popular. I don't want to sound derogatory or anything else like that, but I think there is something in the Oriental kind of makeup that gets people really attracted to, very immersive things. And actually, to be honest, if I lived in China, I'd need all the immersion I can get to get away from the real world. But this is sort of odd. I mean, in the greater scheme of things, we see. America withdrawing into, the isolation we haven't seen for 100 years, and Russia, I suppose, and America playing around. China looks like it is going to be the new empire building block, which it can do without too much pressure from others. So, I often imagine China as one of the first global corporations. The way it behaves, the way it's run, is more like a corporation, an international corporation, than a state or a country. There's no democracy. There's no, the bosses write the rules. And you're in big trouble if you don't follow the rules, especially as you probably can't get out of there. There's another country that's a bit like that at the moment. But if they are blocking this stuff, which suggests they're blocking escapism online, and that level of interaction, do they think that will give them an advantage in the world if their population is not reliant so much on? Well, they'll still be reliant on technology, I guess, but not the immersive part of things. I really don't know. But, and it's easy for us in the West to sort of think, oh, go silly old China. They're poor people, won't be able to play games anymore. But I think this is more serious. I think this is more serious because this is like Boris Johnson saying, right, no more computer games. You can have Conservative Party online and that's it. I think this is slightly worrying and probably deserves more looking at. Anyway, you can get this. You can get this roundup, the Virtual Report, 3 words as one, of course, .biz, and they've got links to the original report and the BBC World Service, and where you can pick up more. And I suspect by now Because this was on 3 days ago. I suspect now the news has trickled out a bit and there may be more coverage elsewhere. So, put that one away for now. Sad news there. And we go to venturebeat.com, which is like GamesBeat, really, but they have some interesting other stuff. This one's talking about NextNav, who are adding vertical location to Atlas, which is an Earth mobile game. Now, I don't really cover games here, but the game technology has always run in parallel and sometimes ahead of virtual world technology and ultimately VR itself. What is interesting here is, as a couple of people tweeted back to me, um, it's like a sudden point of click, right? I'm well aware, not that my iPad and iPhone have location tracing on it, but also, when I'm on the web on my Mac here, or even, well, even more on Windows, people want your location, so they can tell where you're visiting their webpage from. But this location is also available in games and virtual worlds. It's a ping back to your IP address. Everybody can know exactly where you are, and even if you're on a mobile, they can know your mobile ID, even if they don't know where you're standing at a given point, though they probably do. Now, a few years ago, I had my avatar scanned in 3D actually, and it was with a company called Mikazook, and they launched a kind of mirror world. And the idea is we could claim our real world places in real life on a 3D map, which is generated basically on open source maps rather than Google Maps. Major undertaking, and it didn't really go anywhere significant beyond Times Square and Paris, I believe. But got quite a good media coverage in France. In fact, I was on French TV as an avatar, and the avatar looked uncannily like me because it was photographically made. And that's my first experience of the uncanny valley, and decided, right, I want my own avatar from now on, not one from photographs. But anyway, that aside, what this does, right, is this system will now allow you to, let's say I'm in the 20th floor of a block of flats, right? This system will not only be able to pinpoint me on a map, a surface map of the world, and put me in that office location or penthouse, it will be able to tell which floor I'm on, right? So if you're living in a big high rise, and if you're on the top floor or the bottom floor or any floor in between, it will be able to locate you precisely with vertical information as well as the horizontal version, which SatNav currently uses. This is interesting because this technology has major implications for surveillance and the way we will be, the accuracy with which we'll be tracking things in the real world through virtual tools. But and it's interesting here in that this NextNav company have integrated the service into a mobile game called Atlas Earth, right? Which is pretty much what you think. In fact, it is almost, it's classed as a game, but whether it really is, I'll leave it up to you. But this is the first instance. In other words, as far as I know, there's no SatNav system, for example, that uses this third dimension yet. But the fact that this game will, and this game is pinned to real world locations too, using GPS, it considers Pinnacle vertical location service to the next generation of GPS, which gives us a two-dimensional location on every smartphone. Using built-in smartphone barometers and other technology for 3D geolocation, NextNav has figured out how to capture our locations in 3D, i.e. vertically as well as horizontally. And it's accurate enough to give the developer a location as to a precise floor a person is standing in a multi-story building. And that's how Atlas Reality will be able to figure out where its players are more precisely than through the game, the original game, Atlas Earth. So basically, if you're playing Atlas Earth, they want to know whether you're doing it from They don't just want your postcode; they want to know how high up in the air you are. What can I say? What can I say? This is a technological advance, as far as I can see, and I haven't actually seen another post about this directly. Maybe it's just because I'm following virtual world and games related developments, but it certainly seems to be something that will uh, affect our real world interaction systems or digital, whatever you call them, really. Okay, so you will find this at venturebeat.com, complete with links to take you elsewhere as well. venturebeat.com. Moving on from that. Uh, did I use it? Have I done this already? Or am I getting confused with No, this is a different one. Okay. Right. Atlas V launches VR movie experience and the publishing service. Actually, I think we did. We did. We covered this via another link earlier on. So I'll leave that. It's basically a regular site you may well go to called Upload VR, uploadvr.com. Talking of which, they have a regular early week program called VR Download. Was it Download VR? I forget. I haven't been able to find it this week.
Yeah, I didn't see one. I don't think it happened this week.
Right. I was beginning to think that too, because when it gets to the end of the week, I think, hang on, not that bad this week. So I went hunting on their YouTube site and everything. I couldn't see one. So it looks like they've had a week off, or something has gone wrong, or whatever.
Schedule didn't work out. Yeah.
Well, the other point I gather is that although our bank holiday was 2 weeks ago, Monday this week past was an American holiday.
It was. Yeah, that's right.
That maybe they just decide they wouldn't even review it, because I think it's often Monday or at least Tuesday when it comes up. If it was a national holiday, maybe they thought, well, they don't do it or something.
Yep.
So it could be anything like that. So, but this little item is at uploadvr.com, which is the parent site of the podcast anyway. uploadvr.com, and move that one. Right, now getting really up to date. 3 links from today, more or less, or 4 actually, if I include the one that came in before I'd even finished indexing. Right, a prison company that I think is called Halting State, although I've got one of the great novels, of the past few years that dealt with virtuality, and one of them involved, people incarcerated, basically were incarcerated in virtual worlds. So they spent their time in virtuality, and it was all programmed to reform them and stuff like that, or to punish them. There were different sorts of programming techniques used on different prisoners. And as far as I know, it's an obvious solution. If you write science fiction and need to deal with what you do with prisoners, you stick them in VR, and it's like the Matrix. Just stick a few tubes in them to give them liquid and water, and hope they can still walk when they get out. This is a bit weird because this, I think, must be the States, Global Tellink Corporation. They handle a huge chunk of prisoners' communications industry. I don't think we have any kind of communication industry for prisoners that isn't part of the regular government system. Anyway, this company has obtained a patent. I don't know what there is about this that makes it suitable for a patent, but there's a patent for a system that essentially gives incarcerated people a taste of freedom through virtuality. It then contradicts itself in a minute. Freedom indeed. The patent itself reads that a system would allow an inmate to, for a brief time, although again, think of it as all the time if you need to, for a brief time, imagine himself outside or away from the controlled environment. The news signals the continuous ways that contractors such as GTL try to monetize their literally captive audience of inmates. So this is obviously commercial to monetize their audience. I don't know. As well as their relatives or friends, be that through charging exorbitant fees for phone calls or by selling inmates access to entertainment via tablets. Um, Sounds like quite a racket, doesn't it? Okay. Um, this could just go so much further than like a system for, maybe prisoners get an hour a week in a virtual world to get away from their imprisonment, and maybe meet their friends to sound of stars or something like that. On the surface, that sounds like a quite a nice idea, but while they're engaged in virtuality, they're probably fairly placid in many ways. You can just see that extending because there's no additional cost really, unless it's taking them away from labour, um, to letting them have a virtuality communication system. Arguably, it makes things seem like less of a punishment, so maybe that's working against it. But if you extend from there to brain control and manipulation to a controlled environment, then you're talking about something else where prisoners would probably be locked up in a prison so that they can't get out, but more specifically, they would eventually be locked up in virtual reality, for the length of their imprisonment. It reminds me of the very first Superman movie, where the Superman got in a craft and got shot off to Earth, whereas some villains got stuck in a neutral zone or something they called it. And they were really stuck there, so they were able to break out. It was a kind of, well, it was a virtual prison, but it was something weird anyway. Okay, so they do point out here the virtual reality system could also send information about the session to a monitoring system. Yes, for keeping tabs on communications between the inmate and the person outside the prison. This is added into the patent, by the way. Activist organisation Electronic Frontier Foundation first flagged the patent to Motherboard. That's where it emerged, should we say. I don't think EFF are too keen on it, to be honest, for obvious reasons. GTL declined to comment when Motherboard asked whether this patent has already been used as the basis for any products. A class action lawsuit previously targeted GTL for the company's phone call charges. Families of incarcerated individuals often pay significantly more to receive a single 15-minute call from prison than for their basic monthly phone service. Now, phone services and stuff work very differently in America from the way they do here. So, well, I'll leave you to see about that. There are plenty of links here. There's research have floated this idea as using virtuality as a punishment. There's a 2020 paper from the Indiana Journal of Law and Social Equality, which outlined that system too. So a few links to click away on there. Now, the site we're actually reading from, I forgot to mention it, is actually vice.com, vice.com. And once again, I'll remind you that if you follow me at twitter.com/malburns, you will find these titles and the links to go with them on that feed. But more importantly, clicking on a Twitter link will actually take you to the exact page that a given article will be on, whereas some of the sites I'm reading out here are simply showing the front pages. Anyway, let's put that one away for now and move on. And oh dear, it's that freaking fast book again. Right, this is back to VentureBeat. VentureBeat.com. This is getting to be like, what's the weekly anti-Facebook post we can find? But again, I guess right here, Facebook's vision of the metaverse has a critical flaw, and back in the headlines, God Emperor did his stuff. Where are we? Is this the metaverse talk exciting? Sure. Is this new? Hardly. Looks at the history again. Oh, this is quite interesting. The writer's son has just turned 11 years old, and among his presents was a small cash gift from his grandfather. Since he was free to burn this birthday money on anything he wanted, I couldn't wait to see what he'd buy. So imagine my reaction when he decided to purchase new skins for his Call of Duty avatar. Pixels rendered on the screen? Seriously? I gently asked if he was sure he wanted to buy something digital that couldn't be removed from the PC. Without hesitation, he responded, yes! At once, he bought and added to his new skins for the game. He wanted to show it off to me, his mum, his siblings, and of course everyone else he could get to go online. So yeah, now that's interesting because I remember talking about this, maybe sort of roughly 10 years ago, but it comes up now and again, sort of, talking about Second Life and OpenSim and the kind of people who go there. And, we used to say it's like a microcosm of society, which is true. But within that microcosm, the demographic balance is actually very different. There are a whole chunk of people who are very elderly in real life who become avatars and pursue, activities to keep them happy, whatever. There are other people who, when they're for work and stuff, and say middle-aged sort of senior management and whatever, and there were younger ones too. And in fact, Second Life used to have a teen grid for teenagers, people like Daniel Voyager, who later moved to become significant luminaries, shall we say, in the regular Second Life grid. But there was a feeling that teenagers, in particular, except for the few on the Second Life teen grid, did not really want to be there. They're sort of they're more interested in going out, getting laid, going to parties, or smoking drugs or whatever, and socializing with real world people, which we all need in some degree or other. But there was a feeling that, they'd been brought up with games, but that didn't mean they were going to move into virtual reality type environments or virtual worlds like Second Life. Because although the metaphors for navigation and stuff like that were already known to these kids, they've got more interesting things to do than go into online worlds. It's like going back to childhood. I don't want to play games anymore. I want to get out in the real world, and do what we do. And there was a feeling that generation wouldn't come back to it for, a decade or so when they started settling down again and they were less likely to be going out partying 24/7. But things are sort of changing again. I mean, partly because of COVID, but also that sort of younger generation now may just be opting to grow up with, the games and stay within those kind of environments. Not 24 hours a day, obviously, but to a greater extent than maybe they did 10 years ago. So that little story about his son turning 11 and stuff, I mean, 11 is still child rather than teen, but, you kind of wonder if there might be a message in there somewhere. Anyway, this goes on to understand what here we go. What Fastball doesn't understand about the metaverse. And growing real world value of digital items helps explain why the metaverse is back in vogue. But we must remember the foundation of value for these items is social. Without a large audience to gaze upon your avatar skins or NFTs, these items are just unseen pixels on a screen. Don't like the points about NFTs, non-fungible trinkets, basically. To maximize the audience for digital goods, the metaverse must be open and cross-platform. Otherwise, the goods themselves are like a Ferrari buried under junk in your garage. And, well, so on and so forth. That apparently is the side of it that the God Emperor just hasn't clicked on. And especially with, having to sign on with a Facebook account to access anything from a portal device to a Horizons virtual world to a messenger app to a WhatsApp to Facebook itself to an Instagram. And there are masses of things online that when you first went in and registered yourself, you could do so with an email address and password, or you can choose to log in with Google or log in with Facebook. And so many people choose to log in with Facebook. It then goes into your browser. It's a cookie. Every time you go there, it logs you in automatically. But it's actually using your Facebook credentials to do it. And all that data about you jumping to that site is going back to the Facebook Corporation because they're acting as the bridge that logs you in. So it's not just their own products they're doing it with. They're doing it with all over the place. So yeah, the God Emperor Zuckerberg is, as somebody said this week, not an ethical man. In other words, he may be a good businessman, but there isn't an ounce of ethical constraint in the guy. Anyway, he sees this metaverse expansion as a way to be more fully immerse his own user base into the Facebook and get more data and dollars from them. But that is the exact opposite of what a thriving metaverse needs. So imagining a better metaverse, etc., etc. Okay. So lots of thought there at venturebeat.com, venturebeat.com. We're getting somewhere here now. The last few links here. Right. Here's a good one. This is a Kickstarter. This came up today. Physicists, basically, they're physics people. Some of them created virtual worlds, didn't they, Philip? Right, they have a Kickstarter to test whether or not we're living in a simulation. Now, this is interesting. Yeah, this has been mentioned quite a lot in tech feeds of recent years. Don't know why that picture's not loading, but it's not. Like in the Matrix or something, and this follows on from the idea of putting prisoners in virtual worlds. Really, but way beyond that. What if there are vast intelligences out there in the universe, as we would call it somewhere, that have actually created our galaxy or the whole universe as some kind of simulation? And when you're in the simulation, if you go into a simulation, like on a computer, obviously you can log out and get out. But if you're a living form, like a non-player character in a simulation, you're there permanently. And your perception of the environment around you does not include the ability to see outside the simulation. So what if, for example, I mean, we talk about time and other things as a fourth dimension, but what if the 3 dimensions we live in are actually only 3 or 4, and the fourth dimension is not something like time or whatever, but it's actually a dimension beyond where all the physics that we know somehow rests on, like a plane that our reality exists on, but is, a plane in itself. Maybe some alien light years away from us can actually somehow take the Milky Way offline if they're unhappy about, I don't know, maybe in 100 years' time we'll have spacecraft and we'll be going around killing everything on foreign planets, and they'll think, oh, we better take those human people offline. They're griefers. Human race are griefing the simulation. Switch them off. Crash us in. They will. It seems far-fetched, but there's a lot of I think it's Elon Tusk is isn't it, is a real propagator of this thing. Now, I actually tweeted that when I saw this, I included in my actual tweets, oh God, I forgot what I said. If this is, if we are living in a simulation, right, are we within or are we without the metaverse? That's a conundrum I posted on Twitter today. I can't leave it a few hours to find out if anybody tackles that one, like they did my comments about the Vultureverse. We'll see. But this is all kind of very interesting, and I find it interesting that there's physicists here who, they really want. I think we all do, really. It's the curiosity in us humans. I mean, I want to know if I'm in a simulation. I don't know what I would think if I found out. Whether I'd be shocked into obliterating myself, exploding my pixels, or whether I find it some exciting in some way. I just don't know. But I mean, we want to know. Basically, there's plenty of uh, reading material they mention here. Um, A fraction of human level civilizations that reach a stage where they're able to run simulations is close to zero. Um, but this is based on the fact we'll get wiped out before we reach that point of processing power or whatever we would need. Um, the fraction of post-human civilizations that are interested in running ancestor simulations, which is what they would call them, is also close to zero. And why would anybody want to run a simulation with us in it? And in other words, our species will have changed so much that by that point we're no longer interested in simulations, and no curious individuals have access to the power to create them. Or running such simulations is banned. And actually, if you've ever read some of Foundation and Empire, the Asimov things, there are, I think it's more in the offshoot novels, but there are examples of that where things get so haywire that simulations have to be banned. Fraction of all people with our kind of experiences living in a simulation is very close to one, as opposed to zero, I guess. I don't know. I'm intrigued by all this, but I'm not going to read it out or go into a rabbit hole here. As you can see, there is a lot of stuff that you can read here. I think it's quite fascinating. I can understand especially why people who live in pixel worlds, let's call them, simulations online, be they Second Life 2D on the screen or in a headset, start wondering, if we can do this, then can aliens or another species or something grander, far bigger and grander than us can do it too. The sort of the God thing almost, I suppose. At the moment, we're at the very beginning of being able to put NPCs, non-player characters, into, say, Open Simulator. You can't do it in Second Life, but you can do it in Open Simulator, and they can have scripts. They can have multi-scripts and things, and they can have very limited early stage AI where they learn they learn to repeat scripts. Rather, they don't really learn any level of intelligence. They just handle a bit more complexity. So when you log out of a world like that, so long as somebody somewhere is logged into that world, that non-player character continues to exist and run its scripts and do its thing, right? So it's already gone beyond the point where we can say, well, when we log out, everything's gone and it doesn't start again until we log back in. Because although our inventories and our assets and things are tucked away in virtual suitcases and don't do anything when we're not logged in, a non-player character that we've created and put in the world does continue whether we're logged in or not. It's not because it's not a character that we're inhabiting, or anybody else is inhabiting. It's a character that's been created to exist in the world independently of our presence. So a lot of sort of issues there, and then you start thinking of that. Is in the real world something like that possible and operating in a way we don't even know? And one of my favorite, there's a movie about virtual reality called The 13th Floor, which is probably my favorite virtual reality movie, because it's got a lot of fun and what appear to be different time zones in it and everything. But you don't really know what the hell's happening until finally some characters, try to go somewhere. Quite distant, not in a town or country or anything else. Like they're going down the road, and it's fairly sparse, like a desert road, in their vehicle, and they come to the edge of the simulation. And it's a shock, it really is, because suddenly everything starts becoming wireframe, and then eventually there is nowhere to go, and the shock, that hang on. There is an edge of the world, and we can't even fall off because the simulation does not exist. That's an interesting conundrum in itself. When you get to the wall, you can't fall off it because the simulation isn't there to fall into. Anyway, I'm rabbit holing. Fascinating stuff to talk about now, but I better not do it here. This site we're on, by the way, is IFL Science. So it's IFLSCIENCE.com. And yeah, I guess if you're a physicist or really interested in this stuff, maybe cough up a bit for the Kickstarter. It's fascinating. Not strictly, I've spent a lot of time on that, and it's not strictly our business, but never mind. Okay, finally, the final text link here is a post that came in today from Forbes. And born in the Metaverse, will RTFKT's new avatar project be the next big thing in NFTs and fashion? Will your Twitter feed soon be overtaken by these avatars and stuff? Punks, apes, cats, and now Akiras. You've been tracking the latest NFT and crypto news. You've probably come across headlines like Visa buys $150,000 crypto punk, 100 wall bored apes sell for $24 million. It's Sotheby's. Blah blah blah. The non-fungible trash. And look at the money. Right. This is of course Kathy Hackey, who often she's not doing the weekly one anymore, but she does still report there on interesting things. So this was just published today, so I didn't really, before I came on there, I didn't really have time to scroll through this fully, but you can see where it's going. Basically, the exchange of monetarized assets and avatar presences all over the place, basically. And of course the Viperverse, as I call it, Vultureverse, maybe, if I'm being polite, etc. Kathy is one of, again, in case you're wondering what all this stuff is, time to get acquainted with Discord and follow professionals, etc. That is true. She's not one of these writers that is in a major opposition to a lot of what I'm calling the virtual verse and stuff. Sort of Charlie Fink is more cautious, although a bit more jaded, elder than jaded. Sort of. I think she often gives PR to some things that I would rather she wasn't. But she is an authority on what's going on there. Nice selection of avatars there. Never did get around to the purple hair. I was the purple everything else. Right. Okay, so find this at Forbes.com, Forbes.com. This one's today, so you can literally go there now, but you can get it. You can get the exact page on my Twitter feed anyway. Which brings us to the sort of the end. Except what I haven't done yet, of course, and that is the video content, because it's all in one place now. This is all these, the links to all these posts, the individual videos are all on my Twitter feed, twitter.com/malbones. And they're posted, the links to them are posted from this service, which is, it's Mastodon. It's mastodon.social/@Metaworld. And we just got a few videos of the week. Clicking through any of these will take you to these at YouTube or other place that they might have appeared. This one is it's the second posting. Woo! It used to be that you could never hear these when I played them. Now it's become the opposite.
I've got some yard work to do today, so I'm gonna have Metaverse Blake take you through what's hot. Insomnia! Take it away, Blake. Oh yeah. Thank you, Mr. Blake.
Right. Silence it so I can talk over it. This basically seems to be episode 2 of a podcast from Somnium Times, which is like a website for Somnium Space Virtual World. And it's just a roundup sort of thing, what's hot in Somnium, or what's hot Z. It's very pretentious, really. But as you can see, they mix reality with the avatar scenario. Well, that's the real world montaged onto a virtual destination. But yeah, it's, if you want it, you want it. Basically, if you're using Somnium Space at all or whatever, you're probably familiar with Somnium Times and also their CEO who tweets endlessly about this latest hot event. Oh, you've never seen anything like this before. And of course, when you look carefully, they're all links to events in Somnium Space, which fair enough, he's earned it. So this one's okay. It's only 2 minutes 11 seconds. That's still far too long for me to want to actually play it for you, but that's where to go for that. The YouTube account, I'm pretty sure, is Somnium Times, but I'm not going to click through. Now, as usual, Charlie Fink and Ted Schilowitz have got their own YouTube thing, and oh God, I've forgotten who Kevin Kelly is already. Again, this is very recent. I haven't fully listened to this yet, but this is their weekly podcast. It's almost like a companion to Charlie's Forbes column, but actually better, I think, because he talks with Ted and their guests and stuff, so it's a bit more engaging. Yeah, this is dated the 10th, which is Friday, but I didn't actually get this. I think it was late yesterday I got it. And I forget who Kevin Kelly is. It's a fairly short one. It's only about look, I'm going to go through to it anyway because I can't. I'm getting annoyed and forgetting who it is. It's about half an hour long, basically, and this week in XR is where you need to subscribe if you want to get this. And I don't believe it. Even the about thing does not tell me anything more about Kevin Kelly. I keep thinking of somebody called Kevin Simpkins and getting this confused. Let's just have a quickie.
Good morning, everybody. It's September 11th, 2021. I'm Charlie Fink with Ted Schilowitz. It's This Week in XR. We've got a great show for you today. Kevin Kelly, founding editor of Wired, author, and a great philosopher about both technology and the human condition.
Yeah, and they include Abbo too, by the way. But yes, this is founding editor of Wired magazine. I'm sure all of you have heard of Wired. So that was who Kevin Kelly. But I don't know why I forgot that. Anyway, it's not that long. It's 35 minutes, but interesting talk, as you say, a bit philosophical. They are indeed. Right, let's go back to the top of that page again. It's the quickest way back, I think. Right, I've done that one. I've done this one. Right, Between Realities is back. Although it was back last week, so this is the no, actually it's been back 2 weeks now. This is season 4, episode 3. Chris Hanley of Space Pirate Arena DX, whatever. This is called Between Realities. It touches on it's more towards general VR, but there's an awful lot of gaming influence here. If you're a gamer, you'll probably love this program. If you're not a gamer, you'll probably find the game sensibilities a bit overbearing in some ways. But it is, it does address many of the things that bear on virtual worlds, but certainly on VR technology a bit. Yeah, that was a few days ago. And here we are again. Right, this one, I'm trying to remember this one. Decoding the Metaverse, what it is and why is there so much hype about it? Let's see.
These themes will come together into a bigger idea. That's what he told his employees.
Okay, this is 4 minutes 22. I'm gonna play a fair bit of it here.
Hi, I'm Rose Jacobs here with you for Calkine TV. Today we're going to decode the Metaverse. What is it and why is there so much hype about it? But first, make sure you press the bell icon for all the latest updates here on Calkine TV. While recently addressing the company, employees of Facebook, CEO Mark Zuckerberg talked about building a maximalist, interconnected set of experiences for the future. Zuckerberg discussed the potential of a metaverse, a collective virtual shared space in which many people can interact with each other and digital objects while operating virtual representations. Even though it is only a vision at this point, several tech companies consider Metaverse to be the successor of today's internet. To put it simply, Metaverse is the future of the internet. Zuckerberg said, "What I think is most interesting is how these themes will come together into a bigger idea." That's what he told his employees in the remote address in June. He also said, "Our overarching goal across all of these initiatives is to help bring the metaverse to life." He added, not only Facebook, but several other companies, including tech giants such as Microsoft, are working on the same mission. In May, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said that the firm was working to build an enterprise metaverse. In April, Epic Games raised US $1 billion to fund its metaverse plans. Nvidia and Roblox are also in the fray and have metaverse on their agenda. So is metaverse the future of the internet? The term metaverse, a portmanteau of the prefix meta, which is beyond, and universe, was first coined by science fiction writer Neil Stephenson in his 1992 sci-fi novel Snow Crash. The author used the term to describe the virtual world in which the protagonist defeats his real-world enemies through his virtual avatar. However, the term was first popularized way back in 1984 as cyberspace by William Gibson in his novel Neuromancer. Virtual reality, or VR, companies across the world are of the view that it would not take much time before people obsessed with social media ask for something new to interact. In theoretical terms, users could log on to the metaverse in a similar way as they do with the internet. However, the only thing one might require would be a head-mounted display, not a screen, to watch content, along with a form of motion tracking. Another interesting thing is that, just like the internet, no single company could dominate or own the metaverse. So it would require standardization and cooperation among tech giants. And for the bottom line, the concept of metaverse is an interesting one, but it is unclear how a single avatar could move between them, as different companies offer different devices. Some experts feel that metaverse could track cues from web browsers. However, there is no certainty on this front as of now. It would require a ton of synchronized hard work and a slew of serious efforts before one day we could all explore the interactive virtual reality world, replete with games, adventures, shopping, and other offerings. Not to forget, companies could make a good amount of money from apps through subscription services, shopping carts, and advertising. And that's it for today's video. But if you liked what you've learned here, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go to calkinemedia.com for all our latest videos.
Right, well, there you go. I actually, the reason I played that thing is they call it very mainstream report, and at the beginning it sounds like another rehash of the Facebook announcements and stuff, but clearly this woman's researchers have given her just a handful of about everything. It's actually a pretty good explanation of what is going on. I like the way she also refers to metaverse in the singular, even though it sounds a bit odd in the context of which she's some of the things she's saying there, but pointing out, that what we're now, the other companies getting in, what I'm now calling the Vultureverse. The way it's going, but then despite opening with Facebook, she's saying this is never going to work unless it's like it, unless it is something like the internet. Although I don't think she means the internet. I think she means the World Wide Web, because I've got a feeling any metaverse will still have to work on the internet, if not on the web. Interoperability, connection. People have to be able to go in to one and cross to another, and all that needs protocols. It all needs to be sorted out, and the God Emperor's company is not likely to do that at all, we feel. Anyway, moving on. You can click through to the account of Kali Media or whatever from my feed there if you really want it. Oh, that was it. Season 4's premiere. I don't know what ever happened to episode 2. We went straight to episode 3 by the look of it last week. Anyway, yeah, one more here. Okay, this is quite a long one, talking about the metaverse emerges.
Ethereum hosts a digital nation.
Right. Oh, yeah, this is just over half an hour. Basically, there's not much to see here, despite the fact it's a video. It's a guy actually reading. So he's there talking, and you're seeing the text he's written here, basically on the emergence of the metaverse. And I think I included that one last week because this date is September the 4th. So there I am. Good job I'm not crawling down any further. Right, okay. So we have a couple of bonuses here just before I finish. This is our photo screen, of course, as ever. Oh, maybe not. Oh no, I gave you Philip's quote, didn't I? What was that one? Oh, well, yeah, sorry. There's a quote of the week. This is an absolutely terrible time to be alive if you're a person with a low tolerance for stupidity. I thought that was funny. And then we had, of course, the quote from Philip, which I'll give you again. Is it lost on anyone that this metaverse rediscovery is 99% due to COVID? Faced with the chance of a deeply dystopian future where we're all forced inside, the big companies are circling like vultures trying to figure out how to get a piece of it. Indeed they are. Sad to say. Right. Now, I found a video. I think it was posted to Twitter, but I couldn't easily get at it in week. But I downloaded it, so I now need to load it into VLC. Here we are. Right. This is about a post about you know, the X Factor or Alter Ego and these sort of you know, talent contests. Well, this is where it's all gone a bit funny. You will see why.
People always judged me by the way I looked and the way I sang, but I realized I don't have to be afraid.
In front of some of the biggest names in music, will.i.am, Alanis Morissette, Rhymes, and Nick Lachey, as they search for the next generation superstar.
I can't wait to meet the human beings behind these alter egos.
An alter ego actually really helps me a lot in life.
I like the hair.
Yo, do that again, bro.
With cutting-edge technology never before used on television, singers' alter egos will be transported through the lens onto a real stage with real backup dancers and a live audience.
This alter ego is giving you just the invitation to step out and be even more of who you are.
Oh, that's Avatar too? Yeah, man, for real.
I guess the beauty of this show is just you have no idea what's coming at you.
Tune in for a special 2-night premiere of Alter Ego where dreams become reality like never before.
Well, there you go, Alter Ego. The voice, you know, I never watched those programs, although it's so hard to actually skim across YouTube without finding clips on YouTube of some performer who wowed the judges and all this sort of shit. But now it looks like they'll be doing it as avatars, which is, I mean, I don't know where that will come to Britain. I presume it will. It sounds like a good idea because there's a ready-made market for that trash. I can imagine I will want to see that, you know, just to get used to the idea of seeing on, you know, major national television. It probably end up on Sky because it's Fox in America, which is not a particularly good thing, but interesting. Little finale to our show there. So that's it. James, any thoughts on all that lot?
No, not really. I mean, you know, that avatar-based talent competition is not really surprising. You know, it just took someone to jump on it as soon as possible. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, I presume they'll just have the motion capture kit and everything else. And you know, you know, they obviously have systems for choosing contestants, so presumably they'll just take the motion capture stuff to the contestants' homes, and then film them to put them on a virtual stage in front of the real world.
Yeah.
audience. Yeah, yeah. I don't. It's yeah. It. I must say, in some ways, it looked rather impressive. Compared to like we saw last week, bits of what Arrow are doing. Um, I quite like. There was just a split second we saw a side view where the avatar was literally leaning at the front of the stage and putting their hand out, that almost into the audience.
Hmm.
Somebody in the real world audience was reacting as if it was a hand about to touch them. So yeah, yeah, it looks. At the end of the day, it's how compelling this stuff is, and how much of the realism is. There might come a time when the electronic transmission of contestants, I suppose this will, becomes more economical than the big studio setups they have today for these things. So
Yep.
yeah, not necessarily new, and things are going that way. It's
Certainly
always
not
just,
new to you and I,
yeah, exactly.
considering where we are at the moment.
Yes, exactly. And it's yeah, yeah, exactly. So what the hell, but that's what we're here for, to keep an eye on all these strange new things and gossip about them, as the case may be. Right, okay. Well, I think that's it. I haven't got anything more to say. Got our nice little inset screen there showing that
All right.
graphic.
And
I think for those watching on YouTube, we are rather lagged in the sense that we're a bit behind, from what I can see on my monitor here. But don't worry, we'll continue whether we're on air or not, I guess. Yeah, I think we'll round up. I'm not sure how long we've been this week. It was quite a big list compared with the last couple of weeks. We will return same time, same place next week, of course. The same place being Sansar. We're at Loud Lab region on Sansar. And we record at 7 p.m. for me. It's not 11 a.m. Pacific on Sansar, but it goes out live on YouTube, which you can subscribe to by going to my personal channel, Mal Burns, on YouTube. And furthermore, you can watch it in replay whenever you want, to your heart's content, even in the next century, if you really still around.
ooh, that's
Still around.
helpful. All right.
Well, it's hopeful, yeah, of course. Somebody might nuke YouTube, and where would our video archives go? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's all there for now anyway, and I'm pretty sure it will stay up there all week, so you needn't worry about that. Yes, as I said, same time, same place next week. We will be back with another week's chat and roundup of the news. So from James and me, in other words, him and him. I've forgotten that. Oh, come on, I'll do it properly for once. From James and me. It's good night, good morning, good evening, good tomorrow, everything. Well, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. It's good late evening here. Stay safe, everybody. Stay indoors. Stay well. Avoid viruses. Avoid anything unpleasant. And until 7 days from now, that's the 7 days gone. There's a new line. Bye, everybody.